Oh my God, yeah, it says live now in the recording. Oh my God, I feel so stupid. Oh my God, you guys, so it is me, Richard. Welcome to Nightmares, Tears, Anyone. I am laughing so hard because I started this earlier. I thought I was recording the whole time with Solomon and I hadn't even started record. So, you guys, I just want to show you my little skeleton wolf. Yeah. So, okay. So, I just want to tell you guys today I have a very special guest, the author Solomon Petchers. Come back after the intro, you guys. Oh my God, I am back. So before I bring in Solomon, you guys, I'm cracking up. I feel so stupid. So you guys can hear him in the background. I've got him on a split screen. You guys, Solomon Petchers is the author of the 2019 book Ghost in the Attic. 2020, he released his second novel, Feasters, an Apocalyptic Tale, which has now won 3 awards. So I already told him congratulations, but when I bring him back in, you guys, we will go over that again. And then in 2021, just a couple months ago, it came out in September, is the sequel right here, Feasters, The Circle. You guys, let's try this again. I want to bring in my dear, super cool friend. Here is Solomon, you guys. So, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. But you guys, it kind of worked out because Solomon's kitty was trying to open the door. So let's do this all over like we've never done this, Solomon. So as you guys can tell, I've got my Pennywise shirt on. It's very three-dimensional. Solomon has his based on the novel by Stephen King shirt on. And you guys, you all know that I have a red one for Carrie, which is my favorite Stephen King book. I sent that one to Solomon because I know Stephen King is Solomon's favorite author of all time. So you guys, oh my God. So
all right, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, let's try this again.
You look so much more professional than I do.
Oh, great.
Okay, you guys, as I said in the earlier intro, this is the second time. Actually, this is the third time we are doing this. So, yeah. So, first of all, I want to say another huge thanks. Thank you to Solomon for doing this. So, let's get back into doing this interview. So, as you guys, as I told you before, in this book, the main character, his name is Samson. He actually is uprooted by his mother from Ohio to Southern California. And Solomon can relate to that because he grew up in Long Island, New York, and now he lives in California here with where I am. But I said earlier that Solomon was 9 hours north of me. He's like 9 hours south of us. He's down below. He is down by San Diego. So, you guys, when I ask these questions to Solomon, you're going to see just the question pop up on the screen. So let's get right back into this. So with you being both a teacher and an author, Solomon, which is harder?
I think.
Does this ring a bell to you? Is this like deja vu?
Changing my answer just for fun. I didn't like the other one, so no. I think I said it before. I've been teaching for 25 years. I've been in education for 25 years. I did 1 year. Ooh, fun mug. I did 1 year as as an assistant principal, and I did not like it. I enjoyed the kids, but I didn't like it so much. So right now I'm dialed into school. So not that I do the same thing every year, every time and stuff like that, but I have a lot of help. It's kind of a routine where we're being an indie author. I'm doing everything myself. So I'm doing the writing, of course, and I'm picking times when I can do that. Usually my daughter's, got dance class or something like that. I'm waiting outside for her. But the editing, I had a former student who's now at UCLA. She was in high school when she was editing my books, and so
How
finding
funny.
cover. Yeah, she's brilliant. She was brilliant. I mean, she ran my class when she was in it. So, and then find the cover. So everything I'm doing myself. So I have being an author I feel is harder just because of those reasons.
And what grade do you teach?
7th grade, language arts history.
It's funny, you guys, because when Solomon and I were talking earlier, him and I have never met before face to face like this, but we've talked in emails and stuff. And it's funny because when I think of Solomon and I read his books, we all had that one school teacher when we were kids, whether we were in high school, college, elementary school, where we always had that one teacher that was our favorite. Solomon reminds me a lot of my 6th grade school teacher too, Mr. Lawler. So I'm sure all of you guys remember being in school. I'm sure you had that one teacher that was just that perfect one. But Solomon, let's talk about our shirts really quick. So I've got my Pennywise, my 3-dimensional shirt on, and Solomon has his based on the novel by Stephen King shirt. And I sent Solomon that shirt, and you guys know that I had the red one based on Carrie, which is my favorite Stephen King book, and Stephen King is Solomon's favorite author. So let's get back to doing this. So that's cool. So so your editor is one of your ex-students, and then who did your artwork on the covers of the 3 books?
So this one here, actually, I found an artist through Fiverr. I'd learned the wonders of Fiverr and Fiverr.com, and so this one I found a gal who was from Malaysia, and she hammered this out, and she did it. This was her first go around. Other than changing, I think she had the kids looking a little bit it was more of a girl, and so I had her change that. But other than that, she did a great job on this one. Just peeled it off in one shot, and then you have one of the editions of.
I have
Feasters.
this one.
Yeah, and there was one before this that was it was more zombie focused, and I loved it until I got it, and I said, oh my gosh, I hate it. And so I dropped a lot of money on this, and so I had that one that you have in your hands. Had a guy who did this, a guy who lived in Italy. Again, found him through Fiverr, and then he stopped doing covers. And I was coming out with the sequel for Feasters. I was coming to the circle and needed the artwork to be consistent. And so I found this guy, Ferry Sestano. Found him through a friend that I met on Twitter. And he said, "Hey," I said, well, "Who's your artist?" He said, "Here's his name." And he picked up. I picked up the basically the phone, so to speak, email, and contacted him. And he turned out these great covers.
Oh wow! And you guys, if you guys don't know who Solomon is, this was the first book that he wrote. This came out in 2019. And then in 2020, he wrote this. This is Feasters, an Apocalyptic Tale. And this is a cross, you guys, between teen vampires and zombies. And the funny thing is, when I was really, really lucky, and I like to show this off, but when Solomon sent me this, he said, "Richard, the attic awaits." So I was really, really lucky and honored to get an autographed book, both of these. And then this one says, "Richard, may this adventure present a different take on the zombie genre. Vampire rules, Solomon Petcher." Because I had told Solomon, I said, you know what, I'm not really the zombie fan, but he's like, "Richard, just give it a chance." So then Bruce read it first, and he's like, "Richard, you just need to read it. I really think you'll like it."
Thanks, Bruce.
And then in 2021, this one came out, the sequel. I have to point to it and show you the digital copy because yes, I still have to buy a physical copy. There you go, Solomon. This is Feasters, the sequel, and it's actually called Feasters the Circle. And so we're going to get into all 3 of those. And to let you guys know, he has only written 3 books, and Feasters has already garnered 3 awards. So hey, I want to say congratulations on that. Yes, Feasters. The first award was the Bronze Award for Book Reviewers Award. So let's get back into this. So you are an award-winning author. Did that surprise you so early in your writing career?
I did, only primarily because I'm an indie author. I everything I did on my own, the whole process, like I said earlier, and it really did surprise me. And I decided, you know what, I want to see how good they are. People really enjoyed Ghost in the Attic, so I said, you know what, I wrote it. But my wife jokes around and she says, "Oh, this is a big boy book because it's thicker because this is only 100 pages, right?" And then I got Feasters a Circle out, and she was like, "Well, that's a really big boy book." And I said, "Oh, thanks, honey." Uh, but I decided to enter and just see, what's the I wanted to find out, where does it stand with other books. And I went to about 7 contests, won 3, which is good. And didn't I don't worry about the other ones, and loving the ones I got.
Good for you. Good for you.
Thanks, bud.
I'm just, I can't imagine even having a book published. So I'm really proud of you. So congratulations. So growing up in Long Island, have you ever seen that house on Ocean Avenue?
I
I already
have
know the
seen
answer to
that. I
this,
know you do.
but get ready for this. This is cool.
As a teenager, and I was looking back at the year because we were talking about it earlier. It was like, it was still locked down. I was like checking in my memory. Yeah, we as teenagers we drive by there at nighttime, of course, because that's what you do with the horror houses. And we drive by, and it was actually, at the time, it was all gated off. In my memory, it was gated off and overgrown, so it was nothing to it. So yeah, we did drive by there. We did check out the Amity House, and yeah, it's a nice area, by the way.
What?
It's a nice area. That
Yeah,
area, it's close to the water and stuff.
It's a very cool area. It's very like Jaws from like Amity Island from
Yeah.
Jaws, which was Amity Island is actually not really an island, but Amity
Right.
is a real place.
Right.
And those of you that know, we are talking about the Amityville Horror House. Yes, we all learned that the Amityville Horror was a big fake, but it was the scene of a horrific crime of the DeFeo murders. So I'm so jealous that you got to see that house, because though I know it's fake, it still does creep me. Bruce and I have been to New York before, but we didn't go to Long Island, and I really think I would kind of be hesitant to get out of the car and even walk up to it. Because, yeah, it's to glamorize something that was so horrific, and
I know.
that
It's
would
like
be really sad.
it's definitely is infamous for
Yeah,
that.
very horrific crime, and I can't imagine being the owner of that house and having to put up with that all the time. I have a dear friend, Adriana Zumbi, or Adriana Neubauer, but she goes by Adri Zumbi. She lives in New York, and Solomon, it's really funny, she had never been by the brownstone that took place in the movie and the book by Jeffrey Convitz, The Sentinel. So I sent her on a little trip, and I asked her if she would go take pictures for me, and she did. So, hey, Adri, this is for you. Say hi to Solomon. So, yeah, so that's cool. I'm so jealous. We have, Solomon lives in Winchester. We have the Winchester Mystery House here in San Jose, which is just like 2 hours southeast of us. It's a very, very huge, creepy big house. But so in this book, the 3 main characters, so were Samson, Moose, Nathaniel based on kids you knew growing up, or on some of your own kids as friend? And Solomon is the father of 3 kids himself, so
Yeah, no, it was, every conversation in there was a conversation that I had with my friends. It was me and my friends in my head when I'm typing and I'm working on that. It's a conversation with me and my friends growing up. I mean, there's a scene where Samson is supposed to meet Moose outside at recess for a drubbing. What he thinks is going to be a drubbing, and all the new he's the new kid, and all these new kids, these friends that he's met they're yucking it up, and then things get serious, but yet as serious as they get, it's still funny. And that was me and my friends. We always would be, we ribbed on each other, we had fun together, and that's really what it was like.
And it's so funny, you guys, because this book is only 104 pages. Yeah, 104. Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
104 pages. And you guys, it reads like a 300-page book. And yes, he is considered a YA author, but these books do not read like a YA book. And speaking of these books, in the bottom here in the basement, I'm going to leave links to his Amazon author page. You can check out all three of his books. They do come in paperback, and you can get them in, I think, are all three of them an audio or ebook?
No, they're all ebook. They're all paperback.
Yeah.
I'm working on getting them done in hardcover as well. I know Amazon's now offering that service as a beta test. Also in Barnes and Noble too.
Wow. 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 Yeah. So I don't know. It'll pop up into my head. But so the Henderson house in The Ghost in the Attic seemed so real to me. Do you remember having one like it in your neighborhood when you grew up in Long Island?
When you asked this earlier,
Oh God.
there wasn't a house. There was a house that we always drove by that was always vacant, and I don't know whatever happened to it. It was always creepy to drive by, but really there was no Henderson house. But I did live under the torment of older cousins who
This is so funny.
who would quite often, they would lock us in the basement or in a trunk and leave us there and mess with us all the time.
I can't imagine. Did they do that in your house or their house?
Oh, their house, their house.
I
And then
just cannot imagine.
my aunt had the creepiest basement ever because it was unfinished, but it was like packed to the brim. There was like workbenches and all sorts of. I mean, it was always packed and always dark and always smelled like a basement. And they would like lock us down there. Or
Was
had
it
other
the type
cousins.
of basement that had the dirt floor?
No, concrete
Oh
floor.
God! See, those
No.
are the basements that scare me because there's spiders.
Yeah. Oh, there's plenty of spiders there too.
No,
But
I can't
we always
imagine.
got tormented as kids. We always got tormented. So those experiences really kind of shaped the Henderson house.
No, because like I told you earlier, no. I was the biggest chicken growing up, and Solomon is one of 7 kids. You're the
7,
youngest
baby.
of
Yep.
7? Yeah, and I'm
Baby
the
of
second
7.
to the youngest of 8. But yeah, I can't imagine because I was scared of everything. But let's see. So let's go on to the next one. So how do you decide when a book is actually finished? By its content or its length of what you've written?
I am a pantser. I do not plot.
What is a pantser?
Okay, so like there's plotters. There's people who I admire so much that like from A to Z, they know what's going to happen in their book before it happens. I mean, they just put it down. They put it down, and when they're writing their stories, they are literally like, okay, check, and right to the end of the story.
Is somebody that goes by the seat of your pants.
Seat of your pants. Yes. I am, and there are quite often there are characters that I'll tell my wife I have no idea where I'm going. She's like, it'll happen, and
Yeah, because this is where we were talking about the twins.
Yes, like Jan and Pam. Like I had intentions for them. I was thinking Stephen King the whole way, and then they kind of just got lost because the story steered away from them. I swear they take their own control. The characters do.
So a pantser, you consider yourself a pantser?
Oh yeah. I tried to plot, and I think it's me being ADHD. I can't stick with it. So.
I don't know because those of you that know, I did a review on Ghost in the Attic a year ago, and it was on my old channel, Are You Into Horror? And actually, when you click on the link that I'm going to post below, you guys can see a video review that I did for Solomon for his author page that I did for Ghost in the Attic. And this is the book, you guys, that ripped me apart. I did the ugly cry after this. Yeah, I sobbed. So I will be doing another review on both this one and probably the first of the 2 Feasters book for this new channel, because I really do want to share and do another video review on Ghost in the Attic. My cat's talking to the hummingbirds in the window, so if you guys hear this little, it's the cat right here. But yeah, so you consider yourself a pantser. That's funny. So, with the Feasters books, what made you want to mix both teen vampires with zombies? Did you really think it was going to work?
No, I didn't think it was gonna work. No, I love zombies. You and I have had this, either through email or talking through today. I love zombie stories. I know they're so stupid. I know they are really.
I
The,
just told Bruce that this. I just told Bruce that this morning.
the idea of the dead coming back and they walk, mindless creatures, but there's something about it's just something about that having that in a story as kind of the background piece to it, that thread, I guess, that walks through there. And so I wanted to go a little bit less traditional. I wanted to add I had teenagers, and then what if they're vampires? What do we do in that situation? And then I started to move the idea of, hey, you know what, these vampires are a lot like, they represent a lot of groups in society today where there's discrimination, or there's not an understanding of groups. And what do I do if I put them in this situation where now they don't have to worry about these rules, these laws that have been acted against them? And I think it's really important. I think through the vampires, and the people are able to see themselves, even though they're not vampires, but they identify with the idea that they were discriminated, there were laws against them, there were rules that were put into place to kind of keep them in check.
And it's funny, it's like I told you earlier, it's like, and that's where it works, because these kids, though they're teenagers, they have to learn at a very early age to trust, and they have to kick into their adult beings, and the way that they survive at such an early age. And not to give a spoiler out, but you guys, there is a scene at the beginning of this book where Emily and Kieran are cousins, and they have a friend, Andrew, that they have to decide
A human friend.
whether to eat him or turn him. And
Well, yeah, let him die or turn him.
yeah, and it just it was a scene that actually it choked me up, and I put the book down for a minute because I was like, wow, I can really get into this book. This isn't the typical, oh, Walking Dead, I just bit you, 10 minutes later, you're going to turn into a zombie. Solomon put there's some scenes in here where these kids really had to think, and it puts their friendships and their life connections to both things, animals, peoples, in just a way that we take for granted every day.
They were forced to grow. They were forced to grow up, and
Yeah, they were forced to grow
there's
up
a sense,
super quick.
yeah,
but
and
in
there's a sense
such
that
a
they don't
weird
want to.
way.
And there's a sense
Yes.
that they don't want to. There's a sense that there's
Yeah.
this playfulness about them, and yet when it comes down to hard decisions, they've made a choice about this is the way they want to see the world, and it's up to them to make it that way.
And you guys, it works. And like Christy Randazzo said, she said, Richard, I've read all three of these books. She said, and I love this man's writing. She said,
Thank you, Christy.
and Feasters just, yeah, it makes you think. It's just like, wow, it's like, would I want to live that? It's kind of funny. I just asked Bruce the other day, I said, would you want to live forever if you could, or would you want to, live as a vampire or what? I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to live that. The way this world is, I don't know if I'd want to live forever.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm perfectly fine with growing old. So hey, and in the book, the next question in the book, Ghost in the Attic, was Shadow Rock Elementary a real place? Was it kind of based on your elementary school? Because it reminded me of mine perfectly.
It was a combination. We didn't have lockers in elementary school. So it was more of a middle school, elementary school feel. We had lockers in middle school, and so it was more of a combination between the two. But going to music class, and I was thinking about this earlier. There's a scene with the music class where Samson has his second encounter with Moose, and Mrs. Rada actually was my music teacher in my elementary school.
Oh my God, how
so,
funny.
So I tied her in that one.
She reminded me of my junior high school, my choir teacher, Mrs. Pleiss. But the school, like I told you earlier, when they first pull up to Shadow Rock Elementary, it was like, oh my God, this is Horseman Elementary. This is perfect. But yeah, and you guys, no spoilers, but Moose is this really, really big kid, and Nathaniel and Samson are these smaller kids, but yeah, Moose was just it
I
just
I have a quick question for you. Did
what's
you
that?
notice? Did you notice in? I don't know if you caught this. I don't know if you caught this, but Nathaniel makes a cameo in Feasters.
In Feasters, yeah, I did, and I told you that in an email. I was surprised to see Nathaniel in Feasters because I was like, "Oh, that's the same kid." It was,
Yeah,
and it was.
and
But
becomes the doctor and all that.
yeah, that I did catch that, and yeah, I did catch that. So as I told you earlier, the scene with Andrew at the beginning of Feasters was really hard for me to read. Do you consider? Are you an emotional man and dad? Do you uh, do you cry? Are you a crier?
I do cry. I do cry. I'm a big baby. My wife. It's funny. My wife and I joke around because she is the one who doesn't really cry. I'm like, "Are you crying?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "I am. Why are you crying?" And
I
I'll
cry at
cry
everything. Bruce never cries.
commercials, whatever. Hey, Bruce, by the way.
He's over there with. He's over there. I don't know what he's doing now. He's over there with the dog or something.
Yeah, no, I cry at commercials. I cry, the homecomings, anything along those lines where dad or parent has been away. I the movie Independence Day. When
Yeah.
the president makes that speech. Today we celebrate our independence. I cry I can watch it 3 times in a day, and I'm just a sobby mess. So yes, put me in put me in, coach. I'm in.
Independence Day, really? That's so funny. Who played the president?
Pullman, right? Bill
Bill
Pullman.
Pullman. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. When I think of that, the one that gets me of those disaster movies is Sudden Impact. Oh
All
my
right.
god, the
Yeah.
scene with Teo. Um, God, what's it? Taya Leone? She's the worst actress in the world. But when she grabs her dad in that scene and that tsunami comes and oh my god, I bawl every time I watch it, and I could watch it over and over just like you and
Yeah,
cry.
yeah. Just cry every time.
Yeah, it's just like it's too funny. Yeah, it's good to cry, and
Yeah.
I don't
I
like to. I like to get it out. I like to just cleanse the.
cleanse it out.
Yep, it's like I'm not afraid to cry, but
I
Bruce doesn't
cry.
cry.
No, no, yeah.
Yeah.
I cry. I cry. There are times I catch myself, and it catch me off guard. I'll catch myself crying while I'm writing a scene. One of the scenes in Feasters, the scene where they see Cage. I'm sorry,
Oh
Case in the cage down in the basement,
in the basement.
and that scene just tore me up. And I had to walk away from my computer several times because it's a hard scene to write, to kind of see this you know boy who didn't have a choice is locked up in this
Oh,
cage, and he's a zombie, and he's a zombie, so he doesn't feel anything. But that scene where they decide not to, and Emily's got the bow and arrow ready to put him out of his misery, and she
oh
just
my
can't
god.
do it. She
Oh
can't
my
do it, and
god.
even though she knows she should,
She knows she has to though. She
and she
knows she
can't do
has
it.
to, but yeah, it's just
Yeah.
and just the fact that he was in that cage, it made me think of I hate it when Bruce and I will go out to dinner or something, and Zero will hear us put our shoes on, and he automatically goes to his room. I'm like, Zero, you don't have to go to your cage. Don't go to your.
We're
You
good.
don't
We're
have to go
good.
to
Yeah.
your room.
Yeah. And
But
yeah, that scene, and just the mother, that idea that how the mom gets bit, is the idea that it's a mother's love, and no matter what Case looks like, she's still gonna love him.
so do the
And that's
kids take after you or their mom? Do they are they emotional? Do they cry?
my oldest is kind of me-ish.
And they're gonna
My
say, "Thanks, Dad. Thanks a
Yeah,
lot."
yeah.
You
My
know.
middle child is not. She will not. She's like whatever. And she's my 12-year-old girl. And then my son is me. He's like he'll cry. He'll get
It's
emotional over
so
things.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so funny. But kids that grow up now are complete. I mean, I grew up in the 60s and I knew you grew up in the 80s, 70s, 80s.
70s, yeah.
Yeah, we just had it. I don't know. I can't imagine being a kid today, but like I told you earlier, Karen and Emily really have to learn to trust early in life and in very strange ways. Were you a trusting boy when you were a kid? Did you trust all your friends? Did you trust the adults in your life?
I
Because
did,
you were the youngest of 7 kids.
yeah. No,
I mean,
I did have a lot of
you
trust.
had to
Yeah, I have
trust
a
your
lot of trust.
cousins, or you had to
Yeah.
trust them to pray to God that they were going to let you out of that those chests. I
No,
can't.
my sisters and brothers, they were terrific. Growing up. They were always, with things. There were some issues that I've always had with family, mom and dad and stuff like that, and they were always that steady hand that was also loving. Like they would, come stay with us, come hang out with us, and let's pick you up and go somewhere. They always joke around that they gave me too much love because I'm always seeking attention.
That's great though.
So
It's just
yeah,
a
and I used to
lot
go
of
to
people
a
go through
camp in
that.
Massachusetts. After my dad died, I went to a camp in Massachusetts and developed some good relationships with people that I still talk to today.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Butters, you want to say hi to Solomon? Come here. Come here. Solomon's got a kitty.
Oh.
Say hi, Solomon. He's a big old huge cat. He's
He's
huge.
like
He's
he's
not
like
fat, but he's really, 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 really big. Uh, so back to the questions. Where were we? I know you're a huge Stephen King fan. How old were you when you first read him, and what book was it? You guys, I know the answer to this. You guys are going to be really surprised. I was shocked.
it was much later that I picked up a Stephen King book. It was my freshman year in college, and I picked up
It
The
blows
Dark
me
Half.
away.
I know, I didn't read a lot as a kid. I didn't. I didn't. I was always doing something. I was always running around doing activities. I was always playing sports, and so I just didn't take the time to do it. So it wasn't until I got older that I actually developed a love for reading. So, freshman year, it was The Dark Half, Stephen King's Dark Half, and scared the heck out of me, that book.
Oh.
I had to call. I think there's a question coming up later, but yeah, I had to go to college that year, and yeah, that book was really good. The
And
idea you can
George
write.
George Romero did a great. He did a great movie adaptation, but
Yeah, no,
Scene with the Crows. I
I
don't know.
didn't. I didn't love it. I hated it. I hated the way that I hated everything about it.
Yeah,
Um,
you have to put them on complete separate plateaus. You
it was
can't.
so brutal. For example, The Green Mile, when it was a serial
Oh my
novel. I
God,
read
that's
that.
another one. I sob. Oh my God,
Yes,
Solomon, I cry so
cry my eyes
hard when
out.
I watch it, or even when I read the little
Yeah.
sixth book.
Yes. Yeah, when they
Yeah,
when they broke it
you
down
read
and,
it.
and he released like a serial novel,
Yeah,
I fell in love with it, and I thought the movie did it justice. I thought they did
yeah,
a great job, but the Dark Half, it was terrible. I was like, oh my gosh,
yeah.
this
The
is not
dark
this is
half
not
of
what scared me.
the book is so much more
And
scary.
brutal,
Yeah,
and
the book
brutal,
is very, very, very
brutal.
scary. So, what'd you think of the new It Part One and Two?
Loved them. Loved both of them.
Because you read
I,
the book, right?
I read most of the book. I did. I did. I admit it.
And
I admit.
you guys are going to crack up. Solomon told me earlier that he used to read Dean Koontz when he was younger, but he's only read two books. So I did tell him to read Voice of the Night, phenomenal coming of age book, and we were talking about Solomon. You want to tell him about the mirrors? About mirrors?
Oh, mirror. Yeah, I think the question comes later. What scares me, right? Mirrors scare me. Anything that's kind of like behind me, like if I'm looking at, especially if I open a medicine cabinet, like if there's
Uh,
nothing there, open a
and
medicine cabinet.
that's the most cheesy jump in a horror movie is when
But
you
it
know when
works.
they open the medicine cabinet, but when they close it, there's going to be the nun or the demon or
Yeah,
something
or it's
there.
scary. Even like you laugh, like, oh, you're not gonna do that, and there's nothing there, and you're like, oh
And
crap, and then
sure
you
enough,
turn, and there's something else right there. Yeah. So,
James Wan does that the best. I just watched his Dead Silence again last night.
isn't
The
that
best
great?
movie of his career, I think.
So great,
It's my
so great.
all-time favorite.
It's my wife and I's one of our favorites.
Yeah, because you guys both like horror movies too, huh? And
Yeah.
is she the one that I'm the one when Bruce and I'll go to a horror movie. I'm the one screaming like the teenage girl. He just sits there. Oh, that was a great movie, but Richard, what did you
I
think was so
jump.
scary? See,
I
I do
jump.
too.
I'm a
I
jumper.
jump.
Yeah.
I know it's coming. I know it's going to be there, and then I'm the one that goes home and I have to turn on the lights because
No, I'm the one that jumps. Geez, something like that. My wife, she's like, very rarely do things rattle her. She's like she's a rock. she's
yeah, and it's like I asked you earlier. So your kids, your kids read your books, right? They've read your books. Have your
So
kids
yeah,
read
my
your books?
oldest, my 20-year-old just finished Circle. She read all three of them, and she's
Oh,
like me. She started reading later. It's funny. And then my middle child, she read Ghost in the Attic. I read Apocalyptic Tale to her, and then she's yet to read the Circle. And then my son wants to his next book he wants to pick up is he's gonna turn 8 this month. He wants to pick up Ghost in the Attic.
the people at Sebastian Labs. I'm telling you what, it was like, where the hell did he come with these people in? Like I told you in the email, people in white lab coats are never good.
Yeah,
But
no.
these people were just, they were terrible. They were just like, oh my god. But
They were the ones trying to end
oh my
end
god, and
vampires.
they were horrible. But I loved. I actually liked the second one better than I did the first one. I did like the first one, but I didn't, like I told you, I didn't know what to expect. But when I read The Circle, it was like, whoa, that one, yeah, I liked it better.
You know, and I credit Jerry Roth. Jerry
Oh yeah,
Roth.
we talked about that
Yeah,
earlier. So
yeah,
yeah, I
Jerry.
didn't want to forget that this time around.
Yeah, no, Jerry and I, Jerry and I met. You were asking last time, where did we meet? We met, I believe, it was on Instagram or it might have been Twitter or Instagram. We would just chat over each other's,
Oh my god,
like
how funny! And you
respond, and
guys,
then
Jerry Roth is the author of this book. Here, I'll pop that in later, Solomon. He wrote Bottom Feeders, and he wrote On the Tip of Her Tongue.
I love them both.
And the man lives, you guys, if you don't know who Jerry Roth is, he lives in the most incredible old church. And me and
It's a
Solomon
church.
were talking about that earlier, and it's just like one of the scariest but most beautiful churches. And it reminded me of the
Unreal.
church in Midnight Mass. And
Yeah.
I know Solomon's watching it now because we talked about it earlier. And yeah, just Midnight Mass was great.
Is it good? Yeah, we're in the middle of the second episode. We just started.
Oh yeah, so
watching
you just
it.
started,
Yeah.
so you haven't even got.
You just got
You
past the
haven't even got.
cats. The cats on the
Oh
beach.
god, yeah. So yeah. Oh yeah, the hats on the. Oh god,
Yeah.
the beach scene killed me. The beach.
So yeah, and Jerry, when I asked him because we got to chatting, and it was funny. We were chatting on direct messenger or Instagram, and we're chatting back and forth. I'm like, dude, I think it's time we just exchange numbers. Like, and so
Yeah, because
we.
he Bottom Feeders scared the.
It was a good book.
Shit out of me.
Yeah, so good, so good. On the Tip of Her Tongue was really good too. I enjoyed both of them.
Yeah, it was really good.
I didn't know where it was going, and then when it did, I was like,
On the Tip of Her Tongue was hard for me to grasp because I was really kind of confused at the beginning. But that was another one of those books that Bruce read first, and he's like, Richard, you just need to go. You need to put
somewhere. It's going somewhere.
Yeah, you need to put all the puzzles in a drawer somewhere and just go in and enjoy it as it comes. But once I did, it was really, really good.
Yeah. He challenged me. I asked him. I said, "So I'm writing a sequel," and he really enjoyed Apocalyptic Tale. And I said, "Well, I'm writing a sequel. What do I do?" And he said, "All bets are off. It's got to be deeper. It's got to be more at stake. And it's got to be darker." And so I tried to meet all three of those there. And there's a scene with that one with Emily. Who I actually wrote Emily because I had no female characters in Ghost in the Attic. Did you notice that? Yeah. I had no main, and so I made it as.
That's what I said. I said, "Do you hate dogs and do you just not like girls?"
No, to honor my daughters, I made Emily just badass. And
Emily was badass. She's very, very cool.
Everybody loves her. Everybody loves Emily, and so there's a scene in there where I was like, okay, I'm pulling the trigger. I'm doing this, and. And
so it's
Gary.
I was reading. I just recently read Ghost in the Attic again, and just the other day I asked Bruce. I said, "What considers a book to be YA?" So since I have you on here right now, what does consider a book to be YA? Is it because there's teenagers in the book? Because I don't think these books read any different to me than a Dean Koontz or a Ruby Jean Jensen book to me.
Yeah, I think it's more of a content. It's not gratuitous, I guess, and I don't put language in it, anything strong. I think I'm working on a book right now, and I use the word damn, and I was like debating on it, like should I use the word damn or not? And so I think
You know me, I just like, I start to talk and it's like, it'll roll off and I'm like, oh my God, Richard, why did you know? She's like, why does that come
no,
out?
I think content, and I think for me, I think a YA book needs to speak to, it can speak to a wide audience, but I think it really needs to, a teenager needs to see themselves in that situation. And I think
Mhm.
getting that message across to them, I think that's important. Stephen King writes about teenagers, but all bets are off all the time,
Yeah,
and even even to the point where it's gratuitous. Where I just feel like YA books, and other people can have other opinions. But I feel YA books students have to be able to see themselves, or teenagers see themselves in that book, and not be overly gratuitous. I don't think it has to be.
yeah, it doesn't have to be. Even Stephen King's Eyes of the Dragon that he wrote for his daughter, it's just like, it's pretty, there's some pretty really gratuitous violent scenes in that one
Right.
too.
Right.
But so, where, oh yeah, the last question I talked to you about was the Stephen King book. So, the last question, does anything scare Solomon Petchers? So yeah, we did kind of talk a little bit about the mirrors, and I told you a really good book about a mirror is Graham
Yes.
Masterton's
Yes.
The
Yes.
Mirror. So yeah, it's funny that it's just funny that mirrors scare you, but mirrors can be really, really creepy when you think about
No,
it.
they are. In fact, I just said to one of my students, we're reading The Giver right now, and it was a
Love the
line in it.
book, did not
Loved it.
like the movie at
No,
all.
the movie was terrible. Terrible. It's like, come on. But there's a line where it says, it's like looking at yourself in a mirror, looking at yourself in a mirror.
Look at yourself in a mirror.
So I said to my students, I said, yeah, you ever see that you have mirrors on both sides and you see like a whole bunch of yourselves, and the fifth one moves its head a little bit, and they were like, no, that's
Oh, no, no,
creepy.
no, no, no. I didn't. I really didn't need that at this time of the day. But thank you very much.
No, but other
It's
things.
so weird because people don't realize how a mirror works. It's just a piece of glass with a sprayed metallic paint. But yeah, when you look into a
It
mirror,
works.
you think, okay, what's on the other side? Is there really something, that?
Yeah, yeah. and
Yeah.
and 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 ghosts, the paranormal stuff scares me. I know you laughed at me earlier. Paranormal Activity,
Oh yeah, we were talking about that. I wanted to
that
make sure you
movie
brought that up
that
because
movie stuck with me so much so, and I didn't want to admit this earlier, but I'm admitting it now. So much so that, if like, I think after we watched it, I asked my wife, I wanted to get up in the middle of the night and get something to drink. I said, honey, you got to come downstairs with me.
that's what I do with Bruce. I'll wake up
She's
Bruce because I'm petrified of clowns, believe it or not.
oh, nice.
I have been ever since I was a little kid. And I remember when Bruce and I first started dating, we went to a haunted house here in Sacramento. And he was like, okay, Richard, he said, all right, let's go. And I said, I really don't want to go in this one because one of the three houses was Haunted Carnival. And he's like, it was so funny, Solomon, because we'd only been going out for a couple of months. He's like, it's not going to be that scary. I'm just like, but I'm petrified of clowns. So we get halfway through. I ran out one of the emergency exit doors and I
Oh,
literally took off down the street. So he had to come after me and he finds me and I'm sitting along this public fountain and I'm sobbing. And he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm really having a hard time with this. So when we went out to get something to eat later, I swore that there was a clown outside the window of the restaurant, and I literally freaked out. And he's like, "Oh my
yeah.
God, this guy's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
some
This guy,
problems."
and he
But
stuck
that's
around,
what
so that's
scares
good.
me. But that's what scares me, and it's like when I think of Paranormal Activity, that scene where she's in bed and the blanket goes off, and then she gets pulled out. That
Yes,
scene did
yes,
terrify me.
yes,
And I
yes.
do have to admit, when we saw the first one in the theater, the first one did scare me. It did creep me out, and I slept with the light on that night. But
I
after that, it's kind of like remember when you saw the Blair Witch Project the very first
yes,
time?
yes.
I
I threw up.
swore, yeah,
I threw
the
up.
marketing for that movie was so well done. And when
Yeah.
they did that pseudo documentary almost a year before the movie came out, I told Bruce, I said, no, this is real. It happened. I saw a documentary about it. And then when they showed up on the MTV Music Awards, they came out, I was like, who's the
Ah,
fool here? Yeah, who's the fool here?
yeah. No, I threw up.
Because
I
yeah,
threw up
I
Blair
thought the
Witch.
yeah, I thought the Paranormal Activity movies were real. I'm just a sucker for
It
that kind of
scared the
stuff.
heck out of me. And like I said, it scared the heck out of me, and I still love watching it. I'll watch it once a year, and every
It's
time I
so
get this
funny.
like this.
I think I've only seen it. I think I've seen it twice.
Oh, I
I
love it.
saw it that weekend at the movies, and then yeah, I think I watched it once on HBO or something. But
So well done
yeah, it is
for
so well
for
done.
short for a small budget.
Yeah, it is. So, once again, Solomon, I want to tell you thank you so much for taking
Of course.
not 2 times out of your day, but this is the third time we've had to do this. So, you
First it
guys,
was
once again, I will leave links down to Solomon Petchers' author page. You guys, these books are phenomenal. I cannot praise this book enough. I would recommend it for a 10-year-old. I would recommend it for a 90-year-old. In fact, I told Solomon earlier, I have let one of my 86, 87-year-old dear friends read it, and she was a wreck. She called me just sobbing. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tale of young kids and coming of age. It's a great ghost story, but it will rip you apart. And these books, you guys, believe me, yeah, there's number 1 and there's number 2. So I still have to buy the second one, so I have all 3 of them on my shelf. But you guys, don't go into it thinking it's just going to be a regular old zombie tale, because it's not. This man blows it out of the water, and he merges these two horrible genres and forms of lifestyle together so well. But I want to tell you, thank you so much, my friend, and keep getting scared. Have a wonderful weekend. This is the weekend of Halloween Kills. Hopefully next time I talk to you, we've both seen the movies. So once again, Solomon, I want to tell you thanks so much for taking the time
Richard,
out.
thank you so
You
much. I
are
appreciate
welcome,
you.
my friend, and I will talk to you soon. I'll see
Talk
you,
to you soon.
Solomon. Thanks
All
so
right, bye.
much. All
See
right,
ya.
bye.